Well,
All yours.
well, wow. Please. Well, I'm so shy, and I think what I have done is not so important, really. I think you will do probably better things than me, bigger things than me. Well, I don't speak English like he does. I have a big problem. My name is González Garcia, and I am French. So I have a mess in my head, terrible, because I speak French and Spanish, of course, because I live in Madrid. But I also travel a lot. Yesterday I was in France because I have there the Instagrammers France family, but I was in Sicily with Instagrammers Italia last week, and I have a mess in my head. It's crazy. Sometimes I speak Italian. But I think the world is done of all of these things. Just to introduce myself, I work like brand ambassador for AC Hotel. How did this happen? We always talk about influencers and these stuffs. I think in this case, it's not really an influencer's job. So just to let you know another side of an overview what I've done before. I used to work in distribution, selling things to people. Okay, I was manager of one of these big store called Auchan. Okay, the Auchan Group, and then that was when I was around 30. Then I work in the automotive industry, and one day someone comes to me and said, we are going to open a startup. It was in the 2000. And I said, a startup of what? We are going to sell cars through internet. Wow. So I loved car. I said, internet is cool. I'm going there. And I left my job. I had a very comfortable job, a BMW, so many product managers. And I said, I leave it all. And I went to a small office with cable in the floor. We didn't have even Wi-Fi at this time. We had cable from a window to another window connecting the desk. Okay, it was very funny. And then I think it was one of the first decisions in my life made with my heart. Okay, and that was probably the most important because I went with a group of people, and we started with this startup. And that ended very well because we've been bought by Orange, and I worked at Orange for 8 years for the contents, okay, in the web and the mobile. And then 8 years ago, a small company called EMC, I don't know if you know them, EMC TV, they did things like Mad Men, Breaking Bad, Walking Dead. They called me to be like a digital director for Spain and Latin America. And firstly, they called me for the cooking channel. And I said, what I am going to do in a cooking channel? But, well, I introduced like 9 years ago all the recipes in the iPhone, and it was the first app in the mobile, in the iPhone worldwide. The first app was done in Spain with the recipes. Even Jamie Oliver didn't have the recipes in these apps, only in iPhone at this moment. And that was such a great experience. And like 7 years ago, something happened in my life that has very much to see with the startup grind, I think, philosophy. I started I was at home and someone told me about a small application called Instagram. So I started working using Instagram. And what I felt is that this small application was going to change the world. Because the people was very interested by the other people at the other side of the planet without having any links with them. It was not like Facebook. So I started to do like a small website called Instagrammers. And I called my account Instagrammers. And so one day, Instagram deleted my account. So I was very, very, very fed. I was very annoyed by that. I remember to write to the founder of Instagram because there were only 3 people. And I told them, I'm going to stop. I was promoting your company with this job, with my blog. So I decided to call it the iJers in the accounts. And today you have 400 million pics called iJers, tagged with iJers something. And there is 500 groups of, let's say, Instagrammers, iJers Barcelona, iJers Madrid, iJers Manila, Cape Town. And it works like startup grind. So it's very funny because I've learned so much with this project. How to manage a contact with more than 500 groups or 600 groups all over the world with a different culture, with different religions, different values, but one very important interest, central interest, that was to meet people through Instagram. So we started with project of Insta Meets, and today I married people, I have Insta babies, I have people found job thanks to these Instagrammers. And that's funny because all these groups, really I'm like, let's say, a spirit father, okay? Spiritual father, but all the people locally, they do their own job. They have a brand they have to respect. They know the values of the brand, and like Startup Grind, they develop all around the world such a great job. I couldn't have done myself alone, okay? After all this job, 7 years, after 7 years, I've done quite everything on Instagram. Like I told you, we have an Instagrammers gallery at Telefónica's Foundation in Madrid. We have a square in Catalonia called Instagrammers Plaza. We have so many things around the world. And I said it's the moment to write a book. So I wrote a book. You can buy it. Instagram Mucho Más que Fotos, if you can read Spanish, of course. But really now I am thinking of changing my life. So I decided to quit my job. I had a great job at IMC. It was great. We were very clear to this big series. And I don't know, I'm old now. I'm quite old. And I don't know why. Suddenly I had a light from the sky. And they said, you have to do what you want really to do. And it's to write something about time. Okay? And I'm so interested by time. We never talk about time in this life. We always talk about money. Okay, about, of course, the network, of course, of the idea you have. But many times we don't speak about the time. And I always say, we are going to be stressed by the time more and more and more. Okay? So now I am writing a book about mindfulness for ultra-connected people like you all. We have such a big problem. We cannot disconnect. We arrive at the office and we don't remember what was the way we followed to arrive to our office. Sometimes we are talking. It happened to me a few weeks ago. I was like this, and I was looking for my telephone. I was talking with someone, looking for my mobile, and it was here. So we have a big problem. So I am writing now something about the time and the importance of mindfulness. Is to live really the moment you are living. And when I met the people from IC, I love the project because they are really investing now and pointing a very good strategy in my point of view, that it's try to create spaces would be creative and that could be really fit to the job we will do in the future. Not anymore this space is closed with this light, boring lights that at the end of 1 or 2 hours of meeting you want to go home. But the possibility to meet in the swimming pool if you want, or if you prefer to meet with your people in the bar, you meet in the bar. If you want to make a round table, you do a round table. And if you want to do a show in the middle of the swimming pool for a meeting, you can do it as well. So I love the idea. I usually only follow my heart. And when I met them, I said, I think I have to work with the job. And when they told to me about the Startup Grind, it made so much sense to be here with you and to say, congratulate all the people from Startup Grind really to work on this, because it's not easy to create a global movement just from one idea. It happens when the idea makes sense, when we find people with passion, dedication, and with a big heart. So thank you all.
Good ideas are ideas that are easy to explain, and they spread very easily, kind of like wildfire. That's exactly not the case of ICOs and blockchain and Ethereum and Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash and all of that. There's a bunch of people in the audience who know about this. Like that guy smiling over there, Andrea, he's really an expert if you want to talk to him afterwards. But that's why we brought Karlos here. He spends a bunch of time in the Silicon Valley. He's an entrepreneur as well, but he's also working in the corporate side of business. He works for BBVA, one of the biggest global banks nowadays, and he's the CTO of the new digital businesses. Plus, he sits on the board of Hyperledger. That probably sounds like Greek to you, but if you're slightly into blockchain or Bitcoin, we're going to learn a couple of things tonight. We'll try not to be very, very technical, because at SharpGrind, we try to give an open door to entrepreneurship. But since this is a very hot topic, we decided to invite one of the experts, one of the most recognized experts on this subject. So please stand up, give the warmest applause for Karlos Kuchkowsky. Great. All right.
Thanks a lot, Alex.
Wow.
This is a pleasure to be here.
Carlos, welcome to SharpGrind. How many times have you been welcomed like a rock star?
Nah, never.
No? Did I pronounce your surname right? I know that I didn't.
Well, no, but also it's difficult for me, so it
All
doesn't
right.
matter.
Let's talk a little bit, like, what did you do as an entrepreneur, and how did you position yourself as one of the leading experts in ICOs, in blockchain, and what are you doing as the board member of Hyperledger? Just for people to understand, people who don't know what that's about.
Okay, I always try to create businesses from 8 years old, trying to create new models and to try to clean cars. And after that, I tried several times. Meanwhile, I was working in different companies. Maybe the one that with more success was Internet of Things company. We launched a campaign in Kickstarter 5 years ago with big success. Not super good finish, but super good beginning. And in BBVA, I started, I think, 5 years ago, reading a lot about Bitcoin, blockchain, and all this stuff. And I started thinking, okay, this is important for the company I'm working for, and also it's important for other things. So we start creating first the crypto lab, trying to understand why this is important and how this works. The crypto behind the blockchain and Bitcoin is super difficult, and I think it's not the best moment to understand, but I used to say to the boards of BBVA and other companies, how many of you know about TCP/IP? Or how many of you know, please have your hands, how many of you know how TCP/IP...
Web protocols?
Yes, how TCP/IP works?
Not too many?
Not too many. So my point is, don't take care or don't think a lot about how blockchain works. Start thinking how you can use it.
Okay. I wanted to ask, because you mentioned that you started with this 5 years ago. So essentially, are we late if we are starting now?
No, I think it's the right moment because at the beginning, there are different opportunities. I think at the beginning, Bitcoin, speculation, crypto investor, but now I think that we have the technology enough mature to start creating real things. In the last 3 years, a lot of people start creating a big corporation, proof of concept, pilots, but not really mainstream application. Maybe Bitcoin is the main example, but Bitcoin is, if you compare with other networks, is too small or super small. So I think it's the right moment because we have the technology, the ecosystem, the knowledge, and the people talking about this. So it's the best moment to start creating things at the top of these blockchain protocols.
Is it also the right moment because Elon Musk tweeted that he wanted to get into it? Is that a good sign?
Well, I think it's maybe, what say Elon Musk?
Well, he said he wanted to invest and he wanted to explore new possibilities. He was bored with his 12 other companies.
Well, maybe Elon Musk can create the ultimate blockchain company.
I want to say, you're mentioning that we don't need to understand to work on it. What does that really mean? It's probably for non-technical people.
For non-technical people, for me, there are different super important things. One is try to separate what is mean the public blockchain and what is mean the private or federated blockchain. We have the public blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum. You can create awesome things on the top of Ethereum with the smart contracts and decentralized application. And you can use Bitcoin protocols and also Bitcoin cryptocurrency to exchange assets. And this is awesome. And you can start creating a lot of things. And you have the technology which you can use for private or federated use. For example, different banks or different energy companies are trying to create a blockchain to exchange energy. Or different companies are trying to create with mobility, logistics, are trying to use a common database with better efficiencies to try to exchange things and assets. So for me, the most potential is when these two work, the public and the federated, start really working together.
It seems to me that you guys are using this complicated technical jargon because you want companies to hire experts like you. Is that the way of it?
Well, maybe yes, but this is, for me, this is one of the most complicated technology that we try to learn. And it's super difficult to try to call you expert because every week you need to read other papers or other technology. But this is super complex thing. But also the P2P network are complex, or how an engine works in a car is also complex. But the people don't need to understand how the engine works to try to figure out a Uber or a BlaBlaCar business. So my point is try to understand the most important things: immutability, public blockchain, crypto asset, and private use, and start thinking at the top of this, and not spend a lot of time if you are not so technical people understanding the P2P networks behind this.
I was trying to understand, because if I were a very famous person with a lot of money, kind of like Elon Musk, for instance, and which clearly I'm not, because otherwise I wouldn't be here, right? But, or somebody from a bank, really big company, the size of, I don't know, Orange, big multinational, how would you start creating things on top of blockchain or the cryptocurrencies? Would you hire companies? Would you hire experts? Would you try to train them in-house?
Well, I will try a mixed strategy. One, to try to have your own expert. A lot of people are learning in internet, so a lot of people now you can hire, or in your own company, maybe people that you don't expect are learning and thinking how they can create things with blockchain. The second is, if you want to work with the best, you need to find maybe not the big company, boutique companies that start working in this 4 or 3 years ago. And also for me, super important to be, or to try to be part of the underground communities, meetups, working groups, consortiums, that also are trying to create not only the standard in technology, are trying to create the new decentralized application. Because one of the main trends is how the people are trying to create decentralized systems.
Lots of big companies, corporations, and also countries at a country level, they have already not only invested in that, they have changed their legislations, they have created frameworks in order to allow their companies, their entrepreneurs to create things on top of the blockchain, right? What I wanted to ask is, still, a lot of people don't know that this is going, and probably I would like you to give us a couple of examples, like how do you solve at BBVA, and a couple of really, let's say, tangible examples of using smart contracts, for instance, cryptocurrencies. Well, how would you solve real-life problems for people in this room?
Well, in BBVA, we are trying to, with blockchain and other technologies, we're trying to apply in 2 different ways. One, different teams are working and thinking in transformation, how they can create better products, efficiencies. Another group, and I'm part of this group, we are looking for disruption. It's super funny. So the teams that are looking for transformation are working in things like how we can create real-time payments with new rails, with blockchain. And we have an example with Ripple. We can move money between different countries in 3 seconds, and also we can put different rules with smart contracts. We are also working for providers, how we can create a network of providers. We have a lot of proof of concept, and we hope that in the next year we could put this thing in production. In the disruption part, we are looking at a blockchain as a new enabler of a new kind of platforms or network. As one of the quotes that a lot of people used to say in different parts is, okay, Airbnb, maybe Uber, other companies, were the one that disintermediate the incumbents, but now the new companies based in blockchain could be the one that decentralize the people who disintermediate. So it's difficult, but the potential to create this new decentralized network is going to change all the business model that we used to know. So it's one of the most important things for me.
Have you seen any startup from Barcelona that is using that as a technology that maybe we can explain to the people from here?
Well, I'm super bad with the names. Now I don't remember, but I'm sure that there are several companies in Barcelona and startups that are working with blockchain. I will try to remember.
Why do banks invested so much in these technologies? Did you see like the change was coming? Did you fear the disruption that was going to disrupt your business?
Well, the first wave was thinking about that. Okay, people are moving money with bitcoins, and we don't know anything about that.
Yeah, well, people are generating
what
money
is
without
happening? We need some kind of fees for this.
Yeah.
So a lot of people start understanding and working with different banks around the world how we can create or how we can use this technology to create efficiencies, how we can save money. A lot of people think that we are going to have the ability to save a lot of money with compliance, know your customer, anti-money laundering. So how we can create this or how we can put in the market the same product with less cost. And it's the technology evolution. We use cloud for this and also mobile. But the other part is how this technology is going to really transform the society. And one more time, it's about one of the key points about decentralization. The banks used to be in the middle of the relation. If you want to buy something to China, you need a letter of credit and you need the bank of the buyer, the bank of the seller, in the middle of the operation. Now, with blockchain technology, you don't need this. You can have enough trust to exchange goods, assets, or whatever.
Actually, one of the things that blockchain and all these technologies have been used for is to stop corruption. That's not a problem in this country because nobody's corrupt, but I can see that's the problem with so many other countries.
Yes.
How do you think we can stop that by using blockchain?
Well, one of the promises of blockchain is the provenance. How you can have, or how you can have a crypto log record, immutability log record, where you can put all the logs or all the action in a supply chain, in an interaction between different parts. And also you can define the rules with smart contracts. So for corruption, we could put, okay, the taxes, how the people are spreading the taxes, how the people are taking decisions in different public offering. You can put all of this information in a blockchain, and the rest of the people could read about what is happening.
I wanted to ask how many of you here are into blockchain, cryptocurrencies? Raise your hand. How many of you really understand how it works? Okay, fewer people, that's good. I wanted to ask, so you guys at BBVA are investing heavily in this. You have created platforms for your startups. You're looking for startups and entrepreneurs to incubate them or partner with them and give them business. So what kind of startups are you looking for, and how do you think you can help all these people here, new entrepreneurs?
Well, we are looking different startups. We have the Open Talent. This year we celebrate the 9th edition of Open Talent in different countries, more than 700 applies. And we are trying to help the startups also, but also, meanwhile, we are trying this startup help us to transform. This is one part. And what example is around open innovation is Open Talent. In the other part, we are trying to create new revenue stream working with different startups. With the venture capital, we have a venture capital in San Francisco, Propel. Propel used to make a really cool inversion. It's with the first finance institution who invests in Coinbase. And also now, BBVA has an investment in 2 ICOs, because 2 of the companies of the portfolio of Propel are Brave and also Civic. They created an ICO years ago. And also we have the M&A. If we think that it's interesting for us to buy a company and also for the founders, we used to try to close the operation.
I wanted to give a couple of really concrete examples of sectors that have not yet been digitized that you think that can be revolutionized by using blockchain, that you think somebody from here, if you can stand up to the challenge, you've got an opportunity to join BBVA, probably.
Well, now there are a lot of hype and a lot of energy around fintech. Fintech also is going to, we are going to see a big transformation in big tech. The new fintech companies using blockchain in a good way. In my opinion, logistics is going to be all the things related to supply chain. We are going to see how blockchain could create a lot of safe spending, a big transformation. Healthcare also is going to be super, super important, because now we have in Europe GDPR and another PSD2, so a lot of data is going to be around us. And blockchain is something to control the provenance and who is looking to your data for what the people are using this. And the 4 maybe is identity, digital identity.
I wanted to ask, for people who want to start right now to invest, what do they need to learn about these technologies, and where should they start?
Well, for me, there are different ways to invest. The people who want to invest in crypto assets, like tokens, only thinking in the finance value of this, I'm not the man who gives this kind of advice, because I don't understand. In my opinion, there is a lot of speculation now. And if someone here understands why Bitcoin or Ethereum go up or go down, please tell me. Wow,
JP Morgan might have something to do here,
yes.
but
We need to talk about this.
yeah, we need to talk about that.
And the other hand, for me, the other is trying to understand. One, if you are looking for transformation, understand well different companies need to work together where they have some kind of problem of trust between companies in one consortium. Imagine a retail that need to work with logistic companies that need to work with mobility companies or whatever. This supply chain, this ecosystem, will work better with a blockchain between them. This is, for me, the transformation, federated use cases. If you are thinking to use public blockchain, for me, the bigger opportunity, the most interesting one is what is going to be the next mainstream or killer decentralized application. Where is going to be the next, I don't know, the Uber without Uber or the new WhatsApp with blockchain?
And how would you diversify, and on what criteria would you choose which ones to invest in?
Well, and this is not an advice for investment.
Now, obviously, don't follow his advice.
Now I read 1 year ago, I think, a post from Joel Monegro from Junior Square Venture, who start talking about FAT protocols. How the people, and you see a lot of ICOs are creating these FAT protocols. How you start with the blockchain as a bedrock, and how the people are creating the next level of the next layer of the architecture. It's about infrastructure. So most of the ICOs now is around infrastructure. And if you know, or you have the ability to understand what are the pieces that miss in this infrastructure, we have Golem, we have a processing system, we have a storage system, all decentralized. What are the missed part? In my opinion, you need to invest. And also, take care about the next level, when the decentralized marketplace is going to start operating because they have enough protocols in the bottom layer to start operating.
Can you explain what is an ICO?
Okay. An ICO, there are a lot of possible explanation. How many of you know about ICOs? Okay. How many of you are planning to launch an ICO? Yes?
Done. Off the bucket list, right?
Okay. Well, an ICO is, there are different ways to explain this, and no one is good. It's to try to create a pre-sale of tokens and for some crypto asset. And the most popular are for Bitcoin or Ether. So you start issuing one token in Ethereum. Most of these companies are using Ethereum, and the people will give you something for these tokens. So it's the people compared to a public, initial public offering, but with tokens. But now, this started, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, but all the noise started, I think, 10 months ago. I think the continue growing in the last 7 months. There are 2 different ways to see this. The tokens that are securities are the tokens that are some kind of functionality tokens. And if you are planning to launch an ICO, take care of the compliance and the regulation, because it's super hard now to launch an ICO based in security tokens.
I feel bad because I don't have an ICO and everybody has got one, right? It's very trendy. I don't have any. I don't understand it. I read a paper and I still don't understand it. And what I want to know is this some sort of a bubble?
I think that yes.
Everybody's launching one.
I read this weekend the percent of success ICOs in the market in the last 3 quarters. And in June, I think was the 94% of success. If you launch an ICO, you get the money. In July, dropped to, I think, 54 of success. And now we are in 34. So a lot of ICOs is not getting the money. So my point is, the people are...
The screensaver. Oh, sorry. That's a major fail. Can you turn off the...
So
That's me, sorry. Battery saver. That's what happens when you got battery saver.
So my point is that the people need to understand that the ICO in one way, it's only the way to get funding from the market. But also in the other way, if you are thinking in a proper way, what is the meaning or what is the sense of your token? You are trying to create what other people talk about the token network effect.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of your token?
Okay, yeah, great. Sorry about that. What I wanted to ask here is, literally, there are people coming to this conference because they want to meet you. They want to meet investors pitching about ICOs and ICOs, sorry. And I don't think most investors will understand it if we don't understand it ourselves. How would you pitch that one to an investor?
Well, to an investor, it's super difficult because
unplug it, please.
a lot of
Unplug it.
a lot of venture capital, or there are a lot of discussion about if the ICOs will kill the venture capital, if the venture capital will be the one that put the money for the pre-ICOs, for the marketing, if the venture capital need to offer mentor and also advice, or the community of the ICOs need to offer these services of this part. So my point now is you need to understand really well about what is the meaning, one more time, what is the meaning of your token, why you need to issue a token. If you want money from the market, okay, say it in a clear way. If you want to launch a token because it makes sense, think really hard about what is the sense of your token and how your token is going to combine with all tokens.
If you are an investor and you use, some investors really, they say, okay, I'm investing in things I don't understand because I want to diversify. Which one would you go for instance?
Now, I think...
What would be your strategy?
The strategy now, thinking in project, as I say, in infrastructure project, in the architecture layer, think as other, when you are an investor, you always think in an idea and the team.
Yeah.
Think in the people that had good teams, a balanced team, not only super crypto early adopters, not only super newies, try to look for teams that combine the two worlds. And also trying to understand this and what is happening. A lot of investors in San Francisco are working, or companies are working with the SAFTA, Secure Agreement for Future Token of Equity.
Yeah.
And one of the main problems of the investor is they don't know how to hold tokens. How do you put tokens in your books?
Yeah, like could you create a separate portfolio, or how do you explain that to your wife that you have invested in that? Right?
Yes, and you have now a token of, for example, BAT, Basic Attention Token, for what?
Okay. How do you explain that to your partners? And you say you go to San Francisco at least once a month, and one of the main purposes of this conference is to explain how business is done in San Francisco and how it's done here in Barcelona. What differences do you see in this world, in the crypto world? Exactly.
Well, in the crypto world, in San Francisco, it's more about libertarians, cyberpunks, how they start. In the crypto world in New York, it's about investment bankers thinking how they can use blockchain for other. And in London, it's similar to New York. Is my opinion, one more time. Now, I think that the level of the people who know about this is the same in one part of the world, in Barcelona or in San Francisco, but one more time in San Francisco are more people. Yeah. And also, they know, they know how to take more risks about this kind of thing. The venture capital know how to manage risk better than here, or have more experience.
Yeah, one of the things here tends to work well is we see what's happening in San Francisco. It's kind of like the future. And then you copycat it here. Do you think that's going to work also in this kind of technologies? It's not a marketplace right now. We're not talking about marketplaces.
It's a good question because you can create a good decentralized marketplace with blockchain, but at the end you need to take care of the regulation. Yeah. So the copycat, I think, is going to still working. And my point is, if you combine how the people are working more and more with open source code, it's not about the technology, it's about the network. And the same way that we used to talk about the network effect, here for me is more important because you can, now all the people could take the Bitcoin code and run a separate network, but who is going to be with you?
And do you think Spain is a good country to be working on this sector, given the strict regulations, or do you think other countries are more favorable?
Well, if you think one more time, if you are thinking in securities, in Spain, I know that the people are working in a sandbox, but there are other countries like England, UK, Singapore, others that have sandbox to work with fintech and these kind of things. If you are thinking in other areas, I think in retail or logistics, I think it's a super good place.
Last two questions before we go to the amazing VIP cocktail that we've got courtesy of AC Hotels is, the first one is, you're based in Madrid, going to San Francisco all the time, but you probably know the Barcelona startup scene to some extent. What can we do to improve? If there could be one thing we could do to improve and to become like leaders in this sector, what would it be?
I think that in Barcelona and also in Spain, we need to, and I think in Barcelona, you make better than in Madrid,
Okay.
that we need to think and to try to go to other parts sooner. Because sometimes we start thinking that we can launch in Spain, and when you talk with an investor that you had, I don't know, some KPIs and that is working in Spain, US investors say, I don't care about that. I have a market about 300 people, and you're talking like a market about one country. Told me about Europe, or told me about other big markets. So I think this could be one thing to improve. Try to go up, to go to Europe or to other markets as soon as possible.
And the last question, and this is one question we ask to all the people I interview at Startup Prime Barcelona, is what's your useless superpower? Something you do exceptionally well, but it's completely useless.
Well, a lot of.
Not ICOs.
No, ICOs. I'm thinking if I have a superpower.
Yeah. Something you do every day, like exceptionally well. And it's
Right,
like,
every day.
what do I do this for?
I can sing super bad and play the drums at
Okay.
the same time.
That's a good one. Please give it up for Carlos. All right.